Hey guys, Hooked to Clash here, and today I've got a great video for you all that honestly I should have brought you a long time ago. Today I'm going to be bringing you a DragBat guide. Now what's DragBat? That's using dragons and bat spells, I know right, crazy, to overwhelm and triple a base. And this strategy is strong from Town Hall 10 to Town Hall 14. It goes through all Town Halls. I can't recommend this strategy enough. And the biggest selling point for me about this strategy is that it's easy to execute. There's no crazy queen charges. There's not as much control over where your troops go into the base. It's a lot simpler. It's all about the plan though. And today we're going to go through the 6 steps for planning that I go through each time I plan a DragBat. And hopefully I can leave you all with some information of how to triple more bases using this OP army. Let's get into the steps right now. So, step number 1 is to first look at the sweeper range and direction. As we can see on this base, we're going to mark it out using the pink here. It's sort of a triangle shape, not really. But anyways, the main reason we're looking at the sweepers as our first thing is under no circumstances really do you want to drag, for a DragBat attack at least, do you want to go straight into the sweepers with your dragons. Now other dragon attacks, whether it be E-drags, Inferno drags, or mass drags, you can actually go into the sweepers on those, and that's because you have so many spells for your drags. All the spells that you have will be put into your push. Whereas as you can see for the DragBat here, on this specific attack I only brought 1 rage spell. Now most DragBat attacks, you'll probably have 2 rage spells, but on this one I brought only 1 rage spell because I needed a lot of freezes for my bat pathing. So essentially, you don't want to go into the sweeper under any circumstances. The only reason I would recommend going into the sweeper is if the entry looks amazing for dragons and then you use 2 spells to zap the sweeper out of existence. But generally from a beginner's point of view, I would never recommend going into these ranges with the dragons. Okay, so that's step number 1. Step number 2 is to look at the major defenses on the base and map them out. These are the defenses that you want to get as many of them down as soon as possible because they are the biggest hindrances to you coming in with the triple with this strategy. And those defenses are pretty obvious. It is the Eagle Artillery, Scatter Shots, and multi-infernos. Not single infernos, they aren't as big a threat. They do get rid of drags quickly, but a lot of the time, as you can see here, this one's on the outside of the base, and it's not actually going to do a lot because if it's relevant, most of the time you'd be going straight into it and you'd have loons to tank, or you'd bat through it, and obviously bats dominate it. So we'll circle Scattershot number 1, Scattershot number 2, the Eagle, and both the multis. As you can see, these are all really splash defenses. The only splash defense that's air that we haven't circled is the Wizard Tower. They're obviously still important in this attack strategy, but most of the time, if you get like 4 or 5 of these yellow circled defenses down, it wouldn't matter if there was 5 Wizard Towers because you'd be able to destroy the back end of the base. Anyways, so that's step number 2. Step number 3 is marking out on the base the potential drag pathing you have on the base. So it's essentially everything not covered by the sweepers, obviously, because you don't really want to go into the sweepers at all. And then from here, we can start to evaluate what's the best way to path our dragons through the base. We can see where all the major defenses are, and we can sort of evaluate the two. Now, if we come in from this bottom side here, with dragons, we're not going to really think about how we use our heroes yet. We'll think of that once we've seen the drag pathing. But if we come down from this side, we probably get both the scatters here. We have a chance at getting the Eagle, but probably not. But yeah, we can get 2 scatters here, but it's very unlikely that we're going to get the 2 multis that we've circled at the top. Whereas if we come from this way, we get 2 multis, but we're very unlikely to get the 2 scatters on the bottom. So essentially, we just got to weigh up at this stage what's more valuable, getting 2 scatter shots or getting 2 multi-infernos. And another way to think of it is, what's it going to be harder to send our bats through? Because obviously, if we send our dragons down the bottom here, then we're kind of assuming that we're going to use our bats in sort of this area here. So what would it be easier to bat through? 2 multi-infernos or 2 scatter shots? And the answer for the most part is 2 multi-infernos would be much easier to bat through, because the multi-infernos, they kind of do splash damage, but no, well, they don't do splash damage at all. They feel like they do splash damage, but really they don't. They can only take down 6 bats at a time. Whereas if you miss 1 freeze by 1 second on a scatter shot, obviously your drags are wiped out. So already, we've already figured out that the best way to come in from this base is probably from this side. Now, where we come on this side, we don't really know yet, because you don't want to spread out your dragons more than, say, 4 or 5 buildings wide. If you spread them out as wide as this entire 3 to 6 side, you wouldn't be able to get all the dragons in your warden ability. The dragons would split a million ways and they would die really quickly. The most important thing with dragons is making a nice path for them, and that gets us on to the next step here. So now that we've decided we're coming in from the bottom side, sorry, I'll get rid of all of that. Now we have to figure out how we can make the dragon pathing as amazing as possible, and how many of these key yellow circle defenses that we can get down with our heroes as possible, because that is the role of the heroes in the DragBat, is to make either get as well, it's either to get as many splash defenses as possible, or as many of these yellow circle defenses as possible, or it's to make the pathing for the dragons amazing. Now, as you can see on this base, the Eagle Artillery is inside one of our no-fly zones, which means our dragons, we don't really ever want them to get the Eagle, because then they're in a bad area of the base. So this means that we absolutely have to take down the Eagle Artillery with our Sui. So as we can see here, what color do we want to change to? We'll change to this color. So we absolutely want to get this area of the base here. Mind the color, it is a bit of an ugly color, but we're just using the entire rainbow at this point. We do need to get this down with our Sui, but as you can see there, I'm actually going to get rid of everything for a second. As you can see here, there's not a lot of damage by the Eagle. There's no defending hero. There's only an air bow, sorry. So we don't have to use all 3 of our heroes to get that. Honestly, in my opinion, we can use just our Royal Champion with probably an Ice Golem to tank to get rid of all of this. Now, what we can do from here is we have 2 real options at this point. If we're going to take down this area, it sets up a really nice funnel to either go our king and our queen into this scatter shot, or our king and our queen into this multi here, using the funnel that the Royal Champion makes. And then we have to go back to our DragBat pathing. So I'll actually just draw that up loosely yet again, which we remember was there. That was our DragBat pathing. So we have to decide what we want to do with our Sui to make this as nice as possible. So the 2 real options from this is, obviously, we Sui down the bottom here, and if we Sui down the bottom here and got the scatter shot, we would probably come in with our drags like over here, and our funnel would be something like that, which isn't bad. But as you can see here, if we come in from here and we don't Sui, like we leave this multi up, we leave this wizard tower up, and we leave this multi and this airbow up, we would be batting through 2 multis. That's bad news. Whereas, let me get rid of a few things here. We're not the greatest with paint ever, but if we come in, so we use the RC to get that. If we go in this way, with the king and queen, and we just wall break there, then we can get this multi. We get this wizard tower here as well, which is really nice. And then what we would do probably is come in with the dragons down here. Now, we don't have a good funnel on this side of the dragons, admittedly, but we could use a few sneaky gobs, maybe a baby drag, because as you can see, there's no air targeting defenses here. And then we'd have a really nice funnel. And plus, we would get this scatter shot with the drags really early. We'd get this scatter shot in the core, almost guaranteed. We'd probably get this wizard tower as well. And suddenly, we've only left 1 multi up. And that's really nice for us. Now, one thing I actually haven't touched on with the hero part of this attack is the heroes, you never want to send them in range of the clan castle. Why is that? Because they will pull out everything in the clan castle. Doesn't matter if it's a hound or not. Whereas if you send your dragons in range of the CC, they won't pull a hound, they won't pull an ice golem, and it's just easier for your attack if you don't have to deal with the clan castle. Plus, the number of times I've seen a hound come out of the CC and ruin an attack is absolutely crazy. So that's the next part of it. Figuring out how to, once we've decided on our DragBat pathing, or the pathing for the drag, sorry, how we can use the Sui to make the pathing as nice as possible, plus getting heaps of value for our bats. Now, the next thing to consider is the town hall. How are we going to get this down? Now, with DragBat, getting the town hall down is a bit easier than most, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to use a battle blimp, with either a drag, 5 loons, or like a million barbs and a million sneaky gobs to take out the town hall. The only time I wouldn't do that is if the CC's out of range of the town hall and you can use the king and queen to take it down. I would never recommend dragging straight into the town hall, even if there's no sweeper covering it like it is here, because at town hall 14 the poison effect kills you, town hall 13 the slow effect kills you, and at town hall 12 the giga bomb actually does quite a lot down there. So I would recommend almost always using the battle blimp to take down the town hall with DragBat. So once you've figured out how you're going to take down the town hall, which on this plan I decided to send the blimp from here and use the get the blimp in my warden ability, making it invincible, then it's going to make it to the town hall and take it down. Now with all of this plan forward, there's only one thing to look at left, and that is the bat pathing. So let's get out something purple. So as we can see, with the heroes, we're probably expecting to get like this part of the base, right? Then with the dragons, we're probably expecting to get rid of something like this, right? So that leaves this top side of the base left. So essentially with bats, it's really easy. You either want to start them at one side of the funnel or the other side. You never want to start them in the middle, and the reason because of that is if you start them in the middle, sometimes they're more likely to split essentially, and the strength of the bats is when they clump up and one-shot buildings. But if you start them from the top up here, as I said, they'll go to this air defense, and then some will go to the bomb tower, some will go to the multi, but the new ones that are spawning up the top, some will go to the mortar, some might go down to the cannon, and suddenly it's all split. Whereas if you start, we'll get rid of that. If you start all of them here, over here, they're all going to go to the wizard tower. Even the new ones spawning might go to the archer tower, but these bats are going there anyway, and they'll all clump up a lot better. They might still split at times, but they're much less likely to do so if you start it at one side of the funnel. Now, once you've done that, you've got your plan. You've figured out how you want to, well, where the sweepers are facing. You've assessed where the main targets of the base are. You've figured out the best drag bat pathing in the base. You've used your heroes to make the drag pathing even better. You've figured out how you're going to take the town hall down, and now you're going to start your bats. Now that we've done that, let's watch how I do this attack. Obviously, we will sit here and we'll just go through all of it, and the main thing I'll probably talk about is the adjustments I made on the fly, because obviously nothing ever goes to plan. So as you can see here, I'm actually going to use some sneaky gobs down there, and then I'm going to start with my king. I know I said I'd start with the champ, but the reason I start with my king here is he's going to tank for the royal champion, and then he's going to move up the base and also tank for my queen. It's a fun little trick that you'll learn by doing more and more sacrificial hero or Sui hero parts of the raid. As you can see, as soon as the king's done enough tanking and the pathing's good for the royal champion, I'm going to send her in to get the eagle. Now the queen nearly comes around the corner, but as you can see, RC goes to the eagle. Now actually, sorry, one thing I haven't talked about, and we're going to pause it now. One thing we're going to talk about is pets for DragBat, and almost every DragBat attack, the pets will stay the same. I would use the yak with the king, because the king has to do lots of tanking for the Suis, and the yak helps with that. I'd bring the unicorn with the queen. My unicorn was upgraded, couldn't use it. Always bring the owl with the warden. Always. If you bring a ground hero, a ground pet with an air attack, that unicorn with the warden can lure hounds out of the CC, and it destroys attacks. So always bring the owl with the warden, and then bring the lassie with the RC. It just gives her some extra tanking as well, because often you'll send her on missions like this, and whilst it would be nice to have the unicorn, it's better to have the lassie. Makes sense? And the other main thing to talk about is the army composition. In terms of DragBat, most of the time, I'd bring anywhere between 9 and 11 drags. And the only reason it changes between 9 and 11 is it depends on how many troops you need for your Sui. So on this one, I needed a wall breaker. I needed an ice golem for my royal champion, I think. Did I use one in the end? I can't even remember. But you might need ice golems either for your royal champion or your bats to tank a wizard tower, or you might need sneaky gobs, or you might even need extra balloons in case you're sending like a blimp for the town hall or using loons to funnel in your heroes. So anywhere between 9 and 11 drags is fine. you know, both of them do equally well. Essentially, the only difference will be how much you invest in other parts of your attack. And always bring at least like 9 balloons and no more than like 15. The only reason I'd bring 15 is if I need like 4 of them to send a blimp for the town hall. Anyways, sorry if I'm overthinking it a bit there. Just figured I'd say that for you all so you know what sort of army comp to bring. And in terms of spells, which I can talk about during this, spells, you normally bring like 6 bat spells, and either 3 freezes with a couple of rages or like 5 freezes with 1 rage. And then 1 invis always nice for your heroes. No need to ever bring a poison. As you can see, the Sui goes perfectly there. Look at all the base score. And we actually got the Teslas down, which is nice. And we got the multi. So drags coming in from the bottom. Notice these drags I'm sending from like 4, 5 o'clock. They're just to funnel the main drags in. Because honestly, I only need like 4 or 5 dragons in the core of the base. And this is destroyed. So it's worth using a few on the outside to ensure that most of them go in. As you can see, we rage and pop the Warden's ability there. We use that rage because to get through the enemy heroes, to get through the scatters, it just powers our dragons through the base. Blimp makes it. I brought a safe blimp on this one, so the town hall will go down. Notice how I used a freeze on the enemy queen there. That queen could have killed like 3 of my dragons. Always worth using it. And now I have 4 freeze spells to use on this one Inferno because we were able to tank that wizard tower with an ice golem. If you can ever tank a wizard tower with the ice golem, I could not recommend it enough. So bats are coming across the base and swarming it. And look, I don't have many dragons left, but this base is wrecked. The bats will do cleanup. I've still got my warden and the owl, which is nice. I get a minion onto this king altar, which is perfect. And we can just ×4 through the rest of it. But yeah, that is how I plan this DragBat. That's how I plan most of my DragBats. I hope that sort of helped you. To potentially help you more, we're going to go into a FC I'm going to open. Essentially, I'm going to do a live planning and live attack for you all on a random FC. You can see how I plan when it's all happening live. Okay, so here's the base we've got for FC. Beck has been nice enough to give up one of his. I've never seen this base before, guys. I know that might be hard to believe, but I genuinely have never seen this before. Let's go through all the steps and see if we can come up with something that works. So, first step, as always, the sweepers. Unfortunately, the icon's actually in the way, but that's sweeper number 1. Sorry, I kind of messed that up. That's sweeper number 2, as we talked about before. Kind of good news that that sweeper's facing the town hall. That is horrible line. Let's actually draw to the line of it. Bam. Okay, that's step number 1. Step number 2, we're going to find all the major defenses. So we got the eagle over here. We got a scatter over here. Got a scatter over here. And look at this. We got 3 multis on this base. Now, DragBat is tough against 3 multi-bases. That's why I'm hitting it in this video for you guys. I don't even know if I'm going to triple this or not. But yeah, you'd prefer to do it versus 2 multis, but this is still doable here. So now we can essentially look at the different angles we've got. And the angles are kind of awkward. So we can either come in something like in this area, or really something down here. Now, of those 2, the far better option is coming in this way, because if we come in this way, we'll never engage a sweeper. Whereas if we come in down here, A, the town hall's right there, and that's really frustrating to deal with. And B, once we go through the base here, then the sweeper will start pushing us away. Whereas we'd have to get a long way through the base from the top side for the sweeper to be effective. All right, so we've figured out which angle we prefer to come in. Now we can get rid of everything. And let's try and figure out the Sui, because we kind of, well, if we're going to send our drags in through the top side up here, the main funnel we need to make is this side, right? See if we can take this out with our heroes. Now, the eagle's obviously nice, and 2 wizard towers is nice, but we want to get, like, if we could clear as much of this bottom section as possible, that would be amazing, getting a scatter and a multi down. The eagle, like I said, it's nice, but it's not going to make or break our attack. Because it's only the eagle there. There's no real splash defenses nearby. Now, as we talked about before, we do need to note the CC range, just to make sure that we're not going to get in range of it. Looks like we shouldn't, even if we suied down into here, because it really barely overlaps the wall there. That icon is in such an annoying spot. Thanks for that, Clash of Clans. We'll actually zoom out a bit. So, what have we got so far? We figured out that we're going to come in this top side like that. Now, how we're going to do this Sui is interesting. Same as before, there's no heroes by this eagle. So what we could do, I think I might do a similar thing to as before. We'll take this out with a sneaky gob and then run the king down and around with an ice golem in front of him because we need to save his health. Then the RC behind to go in and get the eagle artillery down. She shouldn't pull the CC. That would be really unfortunate if she did. Then heroes go down here. We will wall break this junction here to open it up. And king and queen with another ice golem. Because as you can see, there is a lot of value over here. I might actually bring a headhunter as well. So a lot of value and a lot of damage. And essentially, we're just going to go in and try and burrow our way through this. And if we could get... Imagine if we got... We might not get that ground bow. Imagine if we could get this much down. If we can get all of that down, drags in there. And then essentially, all that leaves... Now, we do leave 2 multis up. Which is kind of frustrating, but on this base, there's not a lot we can do about that. We're just going to hope the drags get this core and maybe even over here, and then we will bat down here. And I'm actually only going to bring 3 freezers for this attack, I think. As you can see with this wizard tower here, if we put an ice golem there, we can tank it. So we don't need freezers for that. We do need freezers for the multi, obviously. And I'm actually just going to hope that my drags make their way to this other multi here. So I'm going to bring 2 rages for my drags because if they get huge value on this base, we're set. Now, other things to consider, because we did skip one step, sorry, which is how we're going to get the town hall. And I'm just going to blimp with the drags. Late warden ability should be good. And as long as we can sort of funnel these buildings here, the drags should pathing nicely. That is the plan there. How long did it take us? 4 minutes. That's not too bad. You only have 8 minutes in your competitive wars. Let's see if we can come and get the triple. We'll be back in 1 sec. Okay, as you can see, we are in. We just got our army ready. As you can see on this one, we've only got 9 dragons, and that's because we've got to be so heavy on the Sui here to get as much as possible, but we have brought plenty of balloons. Let's see how this one will work. I actually have no idea if it will, but this is more about just showing how to plan for a base, and things might go wrong here. We'll see what ends up happening. So we'll do that sneaky gob, then ice golem. We'll use the king to funnel with the royal champion behind. And essentially, we're just going to try and send this king up. We don't really want this king going inside the base at all here. He might. Who knows what he's going to do ever. Let's be honest there. Hopefully, it comes back out. Otherwise, we're in a bit of trouble. Okay, there's that. We use a sneaky gob down here. That wall breaker's not dying. Unfortunately, we have actually pulled the CC. This is actually really bad. Like, properly bad, because you don't really want to deal with the CC. Thankfully, the queen's just doing her thing. Okay. Queen's just going to do her thing over there. Look, not the start we were looking for, but what else can we do? We'll do that, and then a minion there. That should set some sort of funnel. I'm just going to put my queen ability early there. And then we're just going to go something like that. Nicely enough, there's no eagle up, so we can afford to start all our troops a little slow. Sorry guys, I am trying to make eye contact, but the iPad is down there. Okay. Unfortunately, this sweeper's becoming a nuisance. As you can tell, you don't really want to deal with the sweeper. So we're going to have to rage this 1 core dragon and hope. We find the NATO, but that shouldn't be the end of the world. We're going to freeze the town hall here just to be safe. And we're going to be really patient. We're going to be really patient. Because we've got a lot of dragons up on the bottom side there. This is not looking great, but it's also not looking horrible. I should have used the Invisi. There's no real need for it now. How do we want to do this? I think my play is to bat bomb this scattershot. That is one trick I did not tell you all about. Where you can bat bomb the scattershot, get inside the range of its dead zone, and you can take out bases really nicely doing that. We're going to try and invis these bats. Oh no, it's not going to quite work out here. Unfortunately, my king going in ruined the entire attack. It's still not a bad outcome. I still think I've time failed this, by the way, so not a bad outcome at all. Couldn't quite get the triple on a base. That was really bad for it. But I hope this kind of shows you the strength of DragBat more so than the weaknesses of it. We hit a base that was honestly not very good for the attack at all. We messed up the Sui. I left up a scatter shot that I didn't really want to leave up at all because my king went the wrong way, and as soon as I put the king down, I knew it might happen. But regardless, you saw how powerful the dragons were. You didn't see how powerful the bats were, but we know how powerful they can be if you leave them a chance to have success. So all in all, I'm not going to take it too badly. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Obviously not the triple you wanted to end it, but not a bad result by any means. Hope you all have a good day. Hope you enjoyed the content, and maybe I'll see you soon.